by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
Tonight, we'll have the latest details about an ongoing investigation regarding a tow truck being shot at in a neighborhood near Montana State University.
I'm Mike Dennison. We have a major game changer in Montana politics. More on that coming up.
Just ahead of 6:30 back here on Montana This Morning, Caitlin Corbett, Chet Lehman, Matt Elwell. We were just talking about it. It's a little bit slick on your steps, your driveways, but the roads aren't too bad.
Not bad. There's there'll be a few areas that you're dealing with some ice or some slushy areas.
Bridge decks, you had talked about that.
Yeah, bridge decks, overpasses, those type of areas. But overall, the roads aren't bad. Temperatures are down below the freezing mark, which is why we have ice in play with some of the fresh snow that we picked up yesterday. Skies are relatively clear. We do have a thin veil of clouds, but temperatures this afternoon into the 40s. We are going to have a wind anywhere between 10 and 20 miles an hour for the afternoon. But this week we have a very interesting weather pattern. It includes a quick chance of snow and then a big chance of snow as we get toward the weekend. We'll talk more about that, of course, coming up in just a few minutes.
Well, thank you, Matt. 6:30, you heard it live here first. The official announcement, Democratic Governor Steve Bullock is running for the U.S. Senate to challenge Republican Steve Daines.
MTN's Mike Dennison has more.
As you probably heard, Governor Bullock entered the U.S. Senate race at 6 a.m. this morning. It makes our Senate race one of the most watched, most expensive Senate races in the country. Governor Bullock made it official Monday shortly after noon as he and his family strolled down the Capitol hallway from his office to the Secretary of State office, where he paid his $1,740 filing fee to become a candidate for the U.S. Senate. Afterwards, he told reporters that the nation needs a bipartisan common sense approach to tackling the big problems of the day, just like he's tried to take in Montana.
You look at some of the big challenges that we're facing, and they won't even tackle them. I think what I can bring is the experience of being governor of a state and actually having to listen to and work with people all across the state, and also work with people that we may not see the world eye to eye.
Bullock had spent months saying he wouldn't take the plunge to challenge Republican Senator Steve Daines. But he and his wife, Lisa, said it was a family decision to change course.
We felt as a family that there is something that is bigger and greater than the five of us need right now. We met as a family and asked kids for their input, which we took to heart. And we just made the decision as a family that at this time it's better to jump in and run and see what we can contribute, not only for our state but for our country.
Bullock kicked off his campaign at 6 a.m. Monday with a press release and video touting his accomplishments as governor. And within minutes, Montana was getting a flavor of what's in store. The National Republican Senatorial Committee released a blistering attack, saying Bullock wants to ban guns, impeach President Trump, and ignore illegal immigration. And a left-leaning group, Progressive Turnout Project, announced it would be sinking $750,000 into the race, hiring 26 field staffers in Montana to work toward Bullock's election. Montana State University political science professor David Parker told MTN News that it's just the beginning of what will be an epic battle.
If you look at all the people around the country that put money into races, so these are big donors, these are outside organizations, they're far more willing to take a look at the Montana race and decide, you know what, maybe we can put some money and invest in this race. Whereas before, that was going to be a lot less likely because none of the challenges had quite the reach or popularity that Steve Bullock does.
Republicans currently hold a 53-47 majority in the U.S. Senate. With Bullock's entry into the race, Democrats now have 5 seats they believe are possible flips that could give them the majority. But Bullock is far from a shoo-in for victory.
I think the first thing most of the viewers need to understand is that the advantage always goes to the incumbent, no matter how well qualified the challenger is. So I would still probably at the moment move the seat from a solid Republican seat to a lean Republican seat.
Daines and fellow Republicans have been preparing for many months for a possible Bullock run. And Senator Daines made it clear on Monday that he won't be backing down from the challenge.
This is the most consequential election in my lifetime. We're going to decide the next president of the United States. We'll decide who leads the United States Senate, and thereby the future of the United States Supreme Court. This is a big deal for Montana. It's a big deal for our country. And I've always been consistent fighting for more jobs and less government and defending our Montana way of life.
There are other candidates in this race, Democrats, Republicans, a Green, and a Libertarian. 2 Democrats did drop out of the race Monday. But as we all know, the real race is Steve versus Steve, Bullock versus Daines, two of the top political figures in the state, with the control of the U.S. Senate hanging in the balance. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
6:34 now, a story we're continuing to follow. Bozeman police are investigating a weekend confrontation between residents of a condo complex and a tow truck operator.
Yeah, and that confrontation turned ugly with a report the tow truck operator being shot at. MTN's Gabby Crevitt picks up the story.
Right here is where the bullet struck the vehicle, with the employee standing right here alongside the door.
The Bozeman Police Department is investigating a report of a tow truck being shot at on Sunday afternoon at the Hockridge Condos near Montana State University. This comes after a weekend of cracking down on illegal parking in the neighborhood, largely made up of MSU students. The scene was described as chaotic by residents and tow truck drivers, but according to witnesses, Saturday was worse.
They were telling people to get out of the way and stuff, and one guy got in his truck that was hooked up and took off with the tow strap on and was fighting the tow strap down the ramp.
We returned Saturday night. We brought a little more enforcement. They gathered snowballs with rocks. They were throwing them at us. They also had thrown full beer cans from the tops of balconies.
The tow truck driver that was coming in there really doing his job as requested, and they wisely left the area that night and tried to come back the next day to finish their job and what they've been asked to do, and then this incident occurred.
It's a very concerning situation. We're just trying to do our jobs to keep the public safety up.
Now some residents who had their cars towed are being fronted with a heavy bill.
They are now charging us almost $3,000 to get our car out, even though we weren't involved in what happened on Sunday. Our car got towed Friday.
At this time, some of these tow bills have gone up to $2,600 for the reason being the damages that were created to the vehicles.
Bozeman PD continues their investigation and has had a number of people in for questioning. Reporting in Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
Bozeman PD is also asking for those with more information about this incident on Sunday to report it to law enforcement.
You've probably heard how important the U.S. Census is, and it can determine your community's ranks with others across the country when it comes to funding.
Yeah, it can also have a big effect on schools. Classroom size, funding are two concerns many schools across the country. Now more students are being included in the discussion as the census grows closer.
So everything in schools from Title I to after school programs, to lunch programs, to school technology, things that affect the students on a daily basis can be affected by census funding that comes from a census count.
The Census Bureau's Statistics in School program helps teachers incorporate age-appropriate census data and lessons into their curriculum. It launched this past week. Your students may even come home with letters in the near future, reminding parents about the upcoming census count. Everyone will start getting postcards in the mail about the census next week. Children under 5, again, were among the most undercounted population during the last census.
If you have a kid in kindergarten right now and they don't get counted, they're going to be in high school in 10 years. So that is 10 years of being on the bus and school supplies and other things that they will not possibly get funding for.
Census funding also supports programs like nutrition assistance, foster care, the Children's Health Insurance Program, and housing assistance. There are all sorts of answers about how children in any living situation should be counted on the census website.
In other news this morning, just ahead of 6:38, Yellowstone National Park biologists say they've spotted the first grizzly bear of the 2020 season in the park.
It was seen on March 7th during a research flight near Grand Prismatic Spring. The bear is out just one day before the first grizzly sighting of last year. Biologists say it's common for the bears to emerge from hibernation in early March. This time of year, the bears often feed on elk and bison that have died over the winter and can sometimes be aggressive. So because of that, all park visitors are urged to carry bear spray and know how to use it. Yellowstone officials also urge people to travel in groups of 3 or more, stay on maintained trails, and make noise. You should also avoid hiking at dawn, dusk, or night.
Should point out that is not the bear that was first seen this year.
I don't know if
from
that's
a few years ago.
That's
John Shear
awesome,
and I had the opportunity to take that video a few years ago in the park.
That's so awesome.
While we were doing a snow plowing story.
I still have yet to see a grizzly bear at the park, but that's one of the things I really would love to see.
That's our goal for this season.
That is the goal.
We'll get your eyeballs on a grizzly bear. grizzly bear.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, 6:39. We're going to take a break here, Caitlin. When we come back, don't rock the boat. We'll tell you what kind of vacation health officials say you should avoid amidst the coronavirus outbreak. That, your latest headlines. But first, here's what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, we'll give you updates on coronavirus news and numbers at the top of each hour. Plus, a leading psychiatrist will be in Studio 57 to help you cope with the fear surrounding the outbreak. Also, in our Eye on Money series, the best way to manage your finances after yesterday's historic plunge on Wall Street amid uncertainty over the coronavirus. And first on CBS This Morning, 2 best-selling authors discuss their new book that aims to teach young people about the roots of racism. We will see you at 7.